It would be great if everybody just takes a couple of moments right now, and I'd like you to write down either a question or a challenge or an issue or goal or a situation that you would like the universe to support you on. And of course, at some point, I'll be going and asking each one of you, depending on how much time we have, to share that. And then I'm going to guide you through an exercise in what is called the 7 mindsets. I want you to start with writing down what is your question, what is your intention, what is your challenge, what do you want help with, what do you want guidance in, what do you want to know more about. And I'll give you another minute to write that down. And that sort of helps us all tune into the energy of what is wanted in this session of ours together. And give you another few seconds, and then we're going to go into an exercise. I'm going to guide you through something called the 7 mindsets. And I'll be able to send Lisa a PDF. If this is something you like, I can send her a PDF on how you can employ the 7 mindsets. This is something that I present on a more mainstream level. I present the 7 mindsets to youth groups. I present it to professional groups. I use it when I mentor young people. Okay, so I'm going to assume everybody's written down what they have, what their issue, challenge, goal, intention, question is. And now we're going to go through the 7 mindsets. And I'm going to ask you specific questions, and it may help you to write these down as I take you through these questions. I'll give you a moment to very briefly write your answer to each one of these. And these 7 mindsets, these are based on a very deep research project into the mindsets of those who have demonstrated the highest levels of achievement as well as the highest levels of joy and happiness and the highest levels of contribution. So the first mindset, and you don't have to write this down, but I'm going to ask you to write something down about it. The first mindset is called everything is possible. So you want to practice entering any situation, any challenge that you're in with the attitude that everything is possible. And so one of the ways we access that mindset is I'm going to ask you, if everything is possible and anything you could possibly want to accomplish basically requires the same effort, no effort, and all you had to do is wave a magic wand, what is something that you would love to happen in your life? I want you to write that down. If everything is possible and it took no effort to create it, what's something you would love to create? That's the everything is possible mindset. The second mindset is called passion first. And this mindset is based on the fact that in order to achieve the highest levels of accomplishment, success as you define it, right? Not as I define it or anybody else defines it, but success and happiness as you define it, you have to be relying on your strengths, your talents, and your gifts, rather than doing things like, if I got a job being an accountant, right? I would not be a very good accountant because I don't have passion. But if I got a job writing marketing copy, I would love it. I'd be totally happy, totally fun. I love writing. I love writing anything. Every kind of writing is a challenge to me that I enjoy. So I want you, if everything is possible, right? You wrote down what you'd like to make happen. The way to make it happen is by relying on your gifts and talents, your gifts and strengths. So what are the strengths or gifts that you're going to rely upon to make this happen? And you can make it happen no matter what you rely upon, as long as you rely upon your gifts and strengths. So if you're a good baker, you can do it through baking. If you are a good writer, you can do it through writing. If you're a good dancer, you can do it through dancing. So write down 1, 2, 3 of the things you're naturally good at, and that shows you how you're going to create the everything that is possible. The next mindset is we are connected. And this represents the fact that in life, every good thing, everything that's ever come to you Every benefit that's ever come to you, everything that you've ever felt grateful for that's ever come to you, came to you through somebody, including your incarnation, right? It comes through people. Everything that we get, everything we receive, everything we want comes through people. And there are certain relationships that pick us up and support us, you know, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. There are certain relationships that bring us down, that make life feel more like a slog. There's some negative energy that comes from being with those people. So one of the things we have to do with the we are created mindset, number one, is be discriminating in who we spend time with. And we base who we spend time with based on our energy, not based on our ideas of the sense of obligation or I should do this, but based on, am I energized by this connection or am I de-energized by this connection? Okay. So the relationships that energize you, those are the ones that you want to concentrate on. Those are the ones you want to cultivate and develop. The ones that de-energize you, you gradually make more and more space, physical and psychological space between you. The way you create psychological space between you and another person is you don't take personally what they say, you don't get wrapped up in their emotions, and you do as little thinking and speaking about them as possible. That allows them to sort of fade away. And sometimes a relationship doesn't work when you're really close to someone, but if you're kind of distant from them, you find this harmony and it's kind of nice and you like it. If you get any closer, it doesn't feel good. Get any further away, that doesn't feel good. So to apply the We Are Connected mindset, you ask yourself, for me to make this dream, this incredible dream come true, this thing that I would love to happen in my life come true, yes, I have to rely on my gifts and talents, right, to make it happen. That's where my energy comes from. I have to be discriminating in my relationships, stay away from the negative, build upon the positive, but also I can start to envision the kind of relationship that would help me achieve this dream, right? Like what kind of person, and maybe you even know the person you'd like to connect with. You know, people used to tell me, oh, Bob, you should connect to Oprah. Let Oprah know what you're doing, because if she knew what you're doing, she'd get behind it and you'd reach millions and millions of people. You'd make millions and millions of dollars. You'd be on the New York Times bestseller list. And if that had been my goal, that would have been something I would have pursued, right? So there's people who can help you. Like, for example, how am I reaching all of you? Because of Lisa, right? And so you think about, who is it? And if you may, you know, it could be a celebrity, it could be a political figure, but you don't have to even know the name of the person, but the qualities, attributes, the kind of person you want to connect with because you think this person can help you get to the next level. A little story of years ago, before I had the method, but when I was very much into manifesting, I'd made the decision that I wanted to manifest lots of money. And just to experience it, just for the fun of it. And it occurred to me that one of the ways of doing it was through the We Are Connected mindset. So I would envision every night when I would go to sleep at night, I would envision myself being in a group of executives, extremely wealthy executives and entrepreneurs. Because, you know, you become like those you spend time with. I don't know if any of you got my YouTube video, The Relationship Laws. You can check that out on YouTube, The Relationship Laws by Bob Lancer. So anyway, so I applied that, and I would just imagine myself being in this sort of conversational context with this group of people who are all making all this money. And within 6 months, I was invited, based on my gifts and talents, because I was doing some leadership coaching in those days, to come in to a group of exactly that nature. These guys were, their minimum net worth was 50 million to be part of this group. And within 6 months, I was making $250,000 a year, putting in about, I would say about 10 hours a month to make that kind of money. And, you know, the whole thing, I walked away from the whole thing eventually because I just wanted to experience it, and it didn't last long as far as what it was being right for me. So by envisioning yourself with people, right? So there was a while back when all I wanted to do was, I wish I could have studied from Plato. So I used to imagine myself having conversations with Plato every night. And lo and behold, you know, a number of years later, I get invited to co-author a book project on the ancient Greek mysteries with a focus on Plato, with a guy who did more research into Plato than anybody I've ever known. So these things manifest. So you think about the kind of person or the kind of people, the kind of community that you feel would help you get to the next level. You can envision it, but write a little description about it. Hopefully you've already done that with all this talk that I've gone through, because I want to get to the next mindset. That's the we are connected mindset. The fourth mindset is the 100% accountable mindset. And the 100% accountable mindset is, yes, I will succeed through relationships, but it's up to me to determine which relationship I have to manifest it. If it's going to happen, it's going to be up to me. It's going to be up to what I do with my energy. So my feelings, actions, speech, and thoughts create what happens to me, right? Anytime I blame something that happens to me, I'm not taking responsibility for it. So I gave this talk to some salespeople, and I was explaining to this guy, you're 100% accountable for what happens. And he said, no, I can show you how I'm not 100% accountable for what happens. And so he said he was driving in his car and there was somebody tailgating him, right, for like 15 minutes. And then finally he had to stop and the guy rammed him in the back of the car. He said, see, I wasn't at fault. That guy crashed into me. And I said, you saw him tailgating you for 15 minutes. If you had changed lanes, you might have avoided that accident. He said, yeah, but I don't have to change lanes for that guy. So you see how pride or ego caused him to get into an accident. If you take responsibility, if you look back and see how the choices you made got you into the situation you got into, then you start to learn from the experience. As my teacher used to say, his teacher used to say, unconscious experience is a bald man's comb. If you're not paying attention, if you're not trying to learn from what happened, you're not benefiting from it. Now, we do this when we go through the method. Because if I go back to periods in my life when I was feeling terribly abused and unloved and unwanted, right? I can look at that and I can see how the people around me were behaving, right? And I could blame them and resent my mother, resent my father, resent my sister, right? Resent God. Or with the knowledge of the method, now I go back and I was, oh, wow. Well, they were behaving this way and this way and this way. But I got into the state of consciousness of being unloved and unworthy and being abandoned and unsupported. I got into a state of depression when I was 4 and 5 years old because of what I slipped into internally, and I didn't know any better. So I'm not blaming myself, but I'm recognizing that I know from experience, I'm always perfectly supported and loved by the universe, by God. And there's always, the support is going to come through whatever channel it needs to get to for me to fulfill my purpose and potential. So the 100% accountability means you look and you see who you're blaming for what happens. You know, you give your kid the car keys and he loses them and you say, well, now I don't have any keys to start the car. Well, you didn't have a spare, right? If you take accountability, you learn and prepare, and then every sort of difficult or problematic thing that happens can be protection from something even more difficult or problematic happen. So part of the accountability mindset is to focus on how you need to grow to achieve this incredible thing that this fantastic dream that you've had. What do you need to develop? What do you need to grow? Do you need to become better at communicating, a better listener? Do you need to have better control over your emotions? Do you need to process out more of the trauma that you're carrying around? How do you need to grow for this great thing to happen? You take accountability for that through your growth. So write that down. Write down one way you feel you can grow to help you to achieve this thing that you want to achieve. The next mindset is the one that Oprah has spoken quite a bit about. It's called the attitude of gratitude. And it's based on the principle that whatever you appreciate expands in your life. And complaining, criticizing is a negative form of appreciating. So my teacher used to say, complaining is like spitting against the wind. You know, if you want more to complain about more, and you'll get more to complain about. Every time we focus on what we don't like and don't want and don't appreciate, we're giving it to ourselves through the focus of our attention. Your attention determines the experience you have, not what happens out there. You know, there can be a child crying, right? And there could be a bird singing, right? And depending on which one gets your attention, that's the experience you had in the park that day, right? It's not about what's happening. Infinity is always happening. It's what gets your attention. So the attitude of gratitude is telling us to focus our attention on what we appreciate, what's working, right? Do you love your home? Do you love your office? Do you love your mirror? You know, it's the more you focus on what you appreciate, the more you find to appreciate, the more energized you are. And so, you know, what Oprah used to do was a gratitude journal, where every day before she went to sleep, she'd write down 10 things she was grateful for. She attributes that to having a great impact on the results that she ultimately achieved, which is to be the first female billionaire, the first African-American billionaire, the first African-American female billionaire, and probably the first person who became a billionaire through the direct effort of raising consciousness. So focusing on what you're grateful for is one of the ways you empower yourself for that incredible dream come true. And one of the things we practice with the method, which hopefully we'll get to in this course, if not now, later, is we learn how to relate to everything as perfect, right? Even the problems, even the pain, even the misery. If you just relate to it as your subconscious starts to connect with your superconscious to reveal the higher purpose of what happened. So practice the attitude of gratitude, including expressing more gratitude toward others. When I do this as a seminar, the 7 Mindsets, I have people take out their phone and immediately text someone saying thank you for something that they did for them. We don't have to do that now, but by all means, you can do that after our presentation today. The 6th of the 7 Mindsets is called Live to Give, okay? And that's based on the circular nature of reality. So that means that whatever you send out comes back. In my own work, my focus is always on how do I perform the very best service for the people that I have the opportunity to work for, and how can I find more people to help, right? Not seeking to get something from people, but seeking to help. But always, in every relationship, is your opportunity to live to give, to be there. Even if someone's disturbing you, focus on what they need, what you can do to help them. And you say, well, what if they're just a bottomless pit and I just give, and I don't get? Well, if you're starting to feel drained from giving, it's not that you're giving that's the problem. It's what you're giving or how you're giving, right? So we give from our gifts and talents, right? If you asked me to please come over and do your taxes for you, it'd be difficult for me to do. But if you said, could you, call up my nephew and give him some inspiration, by all means, right? That'd be a joy for both of us. So live to give, meaning give from your gifts and your talents, give from what you really want to give to the world. Think about what it is you want the world to have, how you want to make the world a better place. Think about how you can give that and write down your best idea for that right now on how you can be more giving of what you truly want to give in life. The more you give, the more you will receive. And then the final mindset, the 7th mindset, is the time is now. The time is now is really like what Eckhart Tolle teaching is all about, what Buddhist meditation is all about. It's focusing on the present moment and making the most of this moment. Not being concerned with what's going to happen in the future. Yes, you set out an intention, you're going to create what you want. You set out that intention, beautiful. You can go through a process of making it happen, beautiful. But throughout the process, you have to make sure that you're focused on making the most of this present moment, not lost in, oh, I can't wait till that happens, or I wish this didn't happen. Right now, you have the opportunity to make the most of your life, right this instant, right this second, by bringing your full presence, your full consciousness, your full intention into this moment to live the best life you can right here and right now. Try to feel that intention and then just see if you can write down an idea. What can you do now, this very moment, to make the most of your life? Just write down the first idea that comes to you. Okay, so we've gone through the 7 mindsets. The 7 mindsets work great when they're on a foundation of the method, because what the method does is it clears out the attachment of our energy to negativity, and we can now use that freed energy in a process like the 7 mindsets. So again, this is kind of a more mainstream approach. I teach the 7 mindsets. I have a PDF book that I'll get published one of these days called The 7 Mindsets for Extraordinary Parenting, how to pass these on to your kids and the way you relate to them. And anybody who wants, I will send Lisa a PDF of a little booklet that I created called The 7 Mindsets for Your Ultimate Life. It's a very short little booklet. It's just, you can work with these. They're fun to work with. Okay, so that's our introduction to today's presentation. And now I'd like to open it up to questions. If anyone has any questions or comments about the 7 mindsets before we go into the method, now's the time to ask. And I see names on top, and I'll just go across the names if I need to choose volunteers. Would anybody like to share their question, their issue, or any question they have about the 7 mindsets, or what they wrote down as far as their intention or question for this session?
I just unmuted all of you guys, so if you guys want to go ahead and share, you can.
Hi, I have a question. This is Archana. Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear.
Awesome. So you said about the gifts and talents.
Yes.
Being connected with, maybe it's a childish desire for me to not want to work.
Well, why would you want to work? Why would anybody want to work? Why is that
right.
a desire?
Right.
Why should you work? Work is.
I am a divine child of God. I want all my desires and needs and wishes to be fulfilled. But then you mentioned this thing about that it's going to be connected with your gifts and talents.
That's right. Doing what you love to do.
So that kind of sounds like work.
Well, it could be. I mean, you know, let's say someone is creating music using a guitar on stage. Do we say that person is working the guitar or playing the guitar?
For me, there's so many things I enjoy doing, but the minute, if my livelihood starts to become dependent on it, it starts to feel like work.
If what becomes dependent on it?
My livelihood or my income.
Okay, so your livelihood and your income are not dependent upon your work. Okay, your livelihood and your income are a given, they're automatic. Your experience of your livelihood, your experience of your financial situation is a reflection of your state of consciousness. If you're living in a state of consciousness of necessity and burden and obligation, right, then you're going to experience that. If you're living in a state of consciousness where you know, not just trust or hope or believe, but where you know, and this is where we get to through the method, where you know that you are always perfectly supported and loved by the universe, that that the whole universe is designed for the fulfillment of your desires, right? The only thing that is required of us in this incarnation is that we live up to our highest potential, that we live as our highest and best self, that we express the highest levels of love and wisdom in our way of living. As long as we're committed to the fulfillment of our glorious divine potential and the unfoldment of that, and that is the source of true joy. Anything else, it feels like a life half lived. You know, we're here to completely liberate the true self, the soul, the divine nature within us, to express beauty at unlimited levels. And so as long as that's your orientation, you know, work and play really become one. You know, this is all I've ever done, quote unquote, for a living, right? But it's what I love to. I would never retire from this. There's nothing else I'd rather do than what I'm doing right this second with you. So, is that answer the question, or is there more?
I guess maybe I'm not understanding a concept, like the connection between your gifts and talents. For example, what I'm finding my highest vibration is when I'm playful.
And what do you love to play?
Well, I'm just discovering it in me. I worked my whole life, and I'm just now discovering that I have a playfulness in me.
What are you naturally good at?
I'm a therapist.
What active therapy are you naturally good at? What is the part that you love that's the most fun for you?
I do enjoy working with people.
What aspect of working with people?
Just helping them through and inspiring, or helping them get clarity about their emotional stuckness. So
you naturally enjoy helping someone find clarity.
And I naturally enjoy teaching too, but I don't want to do that all the time.
Well, my teacher used to say that rhythmic alternation is heaven's first law.
Say that again?
Rhythmic alternation is heaven's first law.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we can do all the time. Let's say you put yourself right now into a very comfortable position, sitting in a very comfortable position. And I say, okay, don't
Right. Yeah.
move.
Right. Suddenly it won't be comfortable. Right.
It's going to get really, not only get uncomfortable, it's going to get unbearably excruciating.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so in everything that we do in life, we have to alternate rhythmically, and everyone has their own unique rhythm. And so you can tell once you're doing something and you're starting to feel strained or drained, or you're coming up against obstacles, it's getting complicated, that's usually a time to let it go and either rest, do something else, right? Play, right? The other aspect of it is, as my teacher used to say, the word enjoy means to put joy into things rather than to try to get joy out of things. So if there's something you're doing, you either do what you enjoy, or if you feel that it's necessary to do it, you can do it in a way that brings you joy. And that's where, for example, creative visualization can come in. So when I knew that I had to get my taxes done, right? But, you know, that's not my cup of tea, right? But I knew I had to do it. So what I would do is I would think about it, and I'd probably talk to every one of my people that I work with and just mention, you know, I'm going to be doing my taxes soon. It's going to be fun. It's going to be easy. It's going to be just at the right time. I would visualize myself doing it, because sometimes you can't do something, but you can visualize yourself doing it and enjoying the process. And then all of a sudden, boom, the time, the energy was there. Doing my taxes was a nice break from doing 6 hours of coaching that day. It was nice to just do some mundane arithmetic, and I was interested to see what happened financially over the year. And I had a fun time doing my taxes, and they got done in a snap. So everything, your whole joy is the true currency. What we learn with the method is life is a game. You have nothing to lose. You're going to lose everything anyway. Life is a game. We just play. There's nothing really serious going on. Everything you have is going to be lost. We play it for the fun of it. You orient yourself to life for the fun of it. Now, a lot of us have these programs from childhood that, no, you got to work hard and be responsible and fulfill obligations in order to survive. Right? And then they find out that a life like that is not worth surviving. They don't even want to survive in a life like that. It's not worth it because we're not designed for that.
That's exactly what I would say. Your whole life I worked very, very hard.
That's
and I'm
right.
just discovering my playfulness. So now I'm like, how can I make a living from playfulness? But again, if you make a living from playfulness, there goes the playfulness.
Not necessarily. The point is that everyone who's earning money acting and who loves to act, or I earn money speaking, writing, and coaching, and I love to speak and write and coach, but you just need to make a little bit of shift. You're not making a living from the work that you do. The purpose of work, which we could also call play, if you love it, is not to make a living, but to make a life, to live a meaningful life. You choose what you do for a meaningful life, you'll find that you're supported by the universe. But if your consciousness goes into lack and guilt, then we do the method to release you from the programming that makes you think you have to be a slave in order to survive. It's a false program.
Yeah.
Joy is your true currency. The more joy and happiness and playfulness that flows through your consciousness, that flows through you, the higher your vibration, right? And the higher the levels of abundance that manifest in your life. But as soon as you start feeling like you've got to make money or make a living, it has to feel bad because that's not how it works.
Right.
God's love is your source of unlimited abundance. And so all we have to do is go through the method, and we can do that this evening. We could do the method on abundance, is to go through the method to release any sense of pressure, obligation, heaviness, or anxiety anybody has around abundance. Because you are abundant. You already have access to all the resources in the universe. It's just about getting into abundance consciousness, which is fun. Does that help?
I would love that. That is where I think I'm the same person who asked that block about abundance a couple of weeks ago.
Hey, great.
I have a hard time visualizing or feeling into that for some reason.
Right. And that's beautiful. And I think, didn't we do the temple meditation to go through blockages?
Yes,
We
we
did.
did.
I think we did, and maybe we'll do that again. But absolutely, as you're going through, remember, when you get into the abundance part of the method, it's not about envisioning abundance. The method is not a visionary experience. It's not about
Yeah,
affirmations. It's not about
I
the
just
feeling.
don't have a better word for it. So what is that feeling like? I don't even know how to tune into that feeling.
Uh-huh.
What am I?
That's interesting. That's interesting. So what we'll do, let's just all go through the method right now. If everybody's cool with that. Lisa, you think everybody's cool with that, going through the method right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
It's good.
Let's go through the method, and then if you still have the question about the feeling of abundance after it, just ask me, and we'll go deeper into it. Never be afraid to monopolize on the time, right? Because whatever meets the needs of one is going to meet the needs of all. So once again, in general, now I'm going to ask you 7 questions to help you to bring up whatever's going on in there. For those of you who are not working on abundance, some of these other questions may trigger something, right? Even if you are working on abundance, you'll still find things opening up for you as we answer these questions. So I'm going to ask you the questions, and then you're going to close your eyes and listen to the questions. And the first one is, if you have ever abused your power or felt abused by another's misuse of power, feel your feelings now. If you have ever abused your power or felt abused by another's misuse of power, feel your feelings now. Just open up to how you feel. Let those feelings flow. Next question. If there is anyone you feel sorry for, including yourself, feel your feelings now. If there's anyone you feel sorry for, including yourself, feel your feelings now. Just feel your feelings. Open up to them. If there is anyone you have felt unjustly accused by, or if you have unjustly accused another, feel your feelings now. And these questions are just meant to open you up to whatever feelings are down there that are uncomfortable, that need to be released. If there is anyone that you have felt unjustly accused by, or if you have ever unjustly accused another, feel your feelings now. Next question. If you have ever felt jealous or envious, or if anyone has ever felt jealous or envious of you, feel your feelings now. If you have ever felt jealous or envious, or anyone has felt jealous or envious of you that you know of, feel your feelings now. Just feel what comes up. Just notice the feelings flowing through your body. Give up all resistance to how you feel, no matter how uncomfortable. Next question. If you ever felt abandoned, or felt that you abandoned another, feel your feelings now. If you have ever felt abandoned, or felt that you abandoned another, feel your feelings now. Just let all those feelings come up, because we're going to release from all of them. There's no reality to any of these feelings. There's nothing to base them on other than programmed emotional patterns. Next question. If you regard yourself or another person as less than perfect, feel your feelings now. If you regard yourself or another person as less than perfect, feel your feelings now. Next question. If you have ever felt anger, rage, resentment, or hatred toward anyone, including yourself, feel your feelings now. If you have ever felt anger, rage, resentment, or hatred toward anyone, including yourself, feel your feelings now. And the last question is this. Keep feeling your feelings, no matter how uncomfortable or painful. The deeper you can feel, the deeper you can heal. Last question. If you ever felt that you or that your life really does not matter, feel your feelings now. If you have ever felt that you don't matter or that your life doesn't matter, feel your feelings now. Now just keep noticing how you feel. See if you can remember ever feeling anything like this in early childhood. See if any of the feelings that you're feeling remind you of your mother or your father or both. Feeling patterns they may have carried around. If you're feeling any sense of burden or oppression, feel your feelings. Okay. Now what I want you to try to do is shift into a feeling of love for yourself. Now this is just the exercise of a feeling. So feel you loving you. Feel your love flowing into you. Feel the sense of you loving yourself. Do the best you can with this. It's not about getting it right or wrong. It's just making the effort that develops the muscle of feeling love for yourself. Okay, now I want you to imagine the feeling. This is all feeling now. Feel a space opening up inside of you. Feel that space expanding until it's as big as the universe. Feel yourself stepping inside that space and feel yourself being filled with divine energy. Whatever you're feeling now, just imagine that's divine energy. Feel divine energy filling you up, expanding, filling the infinite space you created. Now feel divine energy, the energy of God, filling the universe. That's all you feel right now, is infinite divine energy. Now we're going to shift into a feeling of self-value. And I want you to give yourself the feeling of being of infinite value, that you are infinitely valuable to yourself, to the world, to the universe, to God. Give yourself, all of us have felt the feeling of being devalued. That's a feeling we give ourselves. You can turn that around. You can reverse that. You can feel the sense of being infinitely valuable. Give yourself that feeling now, that you are intrinsically infinitely valuable. Do the best you can to feel that feeling. Now, as we did with the 7 mindsets, become aware of your gifts and talents. 1 or 2 things that you're naturally good at, that you're naturally gifted at, that you derive joy from doing. Get as specific as you can. What's 1 or 2 things that you're just naturally good at? Just become aware of those gifts and talents. Now, I want you to feel the sense that your consciousness is going around the whole planet, and I want you to feel yourself connecting with every human being on the planet. You're connecting with everyone in the world. On a soul level, we're all connecting right now. Feel how good that feels. We're all connecting on a soul level. We're all connected. Everything I do affects everyone. Everything they do affects me. We're all connected at a soul level. And at the deepest level, we're all here to help each other, because that's what the universe is all about. I want you to feel the sense of being helpful to all beings and being helped by all beings just the way everybody is. Just do the best you can to feel that. Now, we're going to shift into a feeling of perfect finances. If you were in the perfect financial situation, what would that feel like? The only reason everybody wants a lot of money is so they don't have to worry about money. So give yourself the feeling right now of being worry-free, of having unlimited abundance, access to unlimited resources. What would it feel like? Be as a child now. Go into the pretend zone, but on a feeling level, not a visualization level, not seeing money, right? But feeling abundant, feeling that you have no financial limits. How would that feel if you won every lottery every day for eternity? That's how much money it's always pouring in, that you're just endlessly wealthy, endlessly provided for, just as a natural, automatic expression of God's love for you. Just feel that sense to the best of your ability of feeling completely abundant, completely financially free. And now, finally, feel the sense of letting everything go, letting go of complete control of your life, just trusting that life is love, God is love, reality is love, that you're always going to be provided for. You don't have to be concerned about any mistakes. You don't have to work for anything. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to figure anything out. Everything is always going to flow perfectly in your life. That's the nature of reality, is love. Just try to feel that sense of completely letting go of control with absolute trust. Take a nice deep breath. When your lungs are filled, hold your breath for 3 seconds and then exhale. Okay. So, does anybody have a follow-up question for that process? Or anybody want to contribute what you experienced? Any difficulty? Any blessings you just experienced? Let's have some feedback.
This is Sue.
Hi, Sue.
Hi. I think for me, the part that feels the best, I feel like I'm not quite good at it yet, but is this idea of letting go of control and just, you know, like the universe is gonna send you in whatever way you go. And it's been actually very comforting to me over the last week as everyone on the planet is flipping out over this virus. And I just keep saying, well, I don't think I'm going to get it. And my kids, if we get it, we're going to be fine. And so I just wanted to thank you. I feel like that end part is what I'm most grateful for and wanting to become part of my general way of thinking.
Right. That's fantastic, because really the purpose of life is to enjoy. I know it doesn't seem that way because so many people are so depressed and so unhappy, and they're working so hard and they're afraid of this and they're afraid of that. The more joy, the more fun you have, the more resilient you are, but both emotionally as well as physically. The better your immune system is, the more money that'll come in, the more opportunities that come in. So, you know, when we trust that life is really a playground, right, that this is just a place we're supposed to have fun in, then we look at, okay, if I wake up in the morning and I'm not feeling overjoyed about a new day to have fun in, right? Like a kid waking up on Christmas morning, if I'm not waking up with that kind of happiness, I've got inner work to do. And the inner work that I have to do is the only kind of work we really have to do. Because doing the method, going through difficult, painful feelings does feel like work. Sometimes it feels like hard work. Sometimes we don't want to do it. Most of the time, it has to be done in the middle of the night when you're waking up with anxiety, right? Because that's when our subconscious is open, and whatever thought forms and energy, emotional forms are going on in the planet, they all can stream into us because our consciousness, we're not watching, we're not guarding our consciousness. And so this is why we wake up at night, and also because of our subconscious is not being guarded, whatever we've been pushing down through the day wants to come up. So a lot of us are doing the method in the middle of the night, which is the best time to do it because your subconscious is so open. So that sense of surrender, and life is here to enjoy. And if I'm not experiencing joy, there's a pattern, a holding pattern, an emotional holding pattern that is stuck inside of me. And the only way that I have found, after being on the path for 40 years, the only way that I have found to release ourselves from these patterns that block our joy is the method. There may be others, and I have many, many supplemental meditations that I've created that go along with the method, including the temple meditation, but the method is core. The method is key. So that's wonderful that you're experiencing that surrender and that joy. And always remember the power of your mind. You are a divine creative being. Everybody right now, all of us together, we are divine beings. We create what happens, okay? everything we think is creative, right? So when people are thinking about stuff that brings them down emotionally, they're actually creating stuff that brings them down emotionally. Okay, every thought is creative, and that's why our practice, our discipline is from the minute we wake up in the morning to the minute we go to sleep at night. We're practicing being aware of our thinking and making sure we're not holding our attention on thoughts, ideas, images in the mind that are disturbing us in any way, right? And that allows your energy to rise up and go enjoy, because if you're telling yourself, wow, I got to work hard to make a living, well, that's depressing. So that's a thought you let go. You say, well, how do I let go of that thought? It's been drilled into me forever. You let go of it by paying attention all day long. And for a long time, it's like a battle. Like your mind wants to go into a negative scenario. Oh, what this person said about me. I'm so angry at that. And my mind keeps going there. No matter how much I try to pull it away, my mind keeps going there. Keep pulling it away. And then do the method on the emotion that's coming up in that, right? So that you can get to that place of complete surrender, because the reality is life is love. Life is to enjoy. If you're not having a really good time right now, it's not because life is hard or life sucks or there's something going wrong in your life. It's just an emotional pattern that has taken possession of your energy because it was ingrained in early childhood. And the joy you're going to get when you undo that program, you will look back and you will say, everything I went through in life, all the suffering, all the pain, all the hard stuff that I went through in life was absolutely worth where I am today. Because where I am today is so joyful and so enlightened, it turns everything that happened into nothing. It negates it all. It's an amazing experience. So thank you for that, Sue. I'd like someone else now to share, comment, question, an issue.
Hi, Bob. Sophie.
Hi. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
Long time no speak.
So, as you know, I'm moving out of my house, and I learned today that the house I was hoping for is already rented. And it's also the first evening that my ex-boyfriend is back in the house with me. And I so want to get out. I so want my own space. And that's really overwhelming me.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple of things. Number one, as soon as you find yourself hoping for an outcome, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Because no matter where you go in life, you're going to find yourself challenged by essentially the same thing. You're going to find no matter what choice you make, there's no decision you can make. This is why it's so silly to get stuck in indecision. Doesn't matter what decision you make, wherever you go, you're going to face the ultimate challenges, because that's how we grow. You're going to discover how you lose control of your creative forces, right? That's where unhappiness comes from. And then you're going to use the method to free yourself from that pattern, and then find your energy naturally going into joyful patterns. So the first step is, as soon as you're hoping for an outcome, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, because if it happens, it's not going to happen the way you think it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, you're going to be disappointed because you imagine you'd be better off if it happened. When the reality is, if it actually happened, you have no idea what kind of stuff would happen in conjunction with that. You know, people say, oh God, I can't wait. I'm going to be taking a trip to Hawaii. It's going to be so great. They take a trip to Hawaii, and they lose their luggage, or they'll lose their leg, or they lose their life. You don't know what's going to happen in Hawaii. You imagine, you think you know, because you looked at the travel brochure. But when you get there, you didn't see the volcano that erupted the moment you arrived. I'm not saying think negative. I'm just saying you do not know what's going to happen when you get there. You only know where you are right now and how you're living. So if I'm going into a state of hope, I know I'm setting myself up for disappointment. So that does not mean that I have to be hopeless. That means that where I am is where that's the time is now mindset. Here is where I have to make my life as fulfilling as it possibly can be. So then we look at the next step. The opposite of I hope something happens is, oh my God, now I'm trapped in a situation I don't want to be in. It's like so many people, they think they found their soulmate, and 6 months later, they feel like they're with their cellmate, right? And so now you're experiencing this situation. I'm living with someone, and I really don't want to be here, okay? If you're there, it's because you have inner work to do there. inner processing to go to do there. Whatever you're experiencing in that situation, you are creating. And as you go into your meditation and go into using the method to get free of feelings of desperation and victimhood and overwhelm and pain and fear and unhappiness and powerlessness and all the emotions that are coming up in association with where you are, as you do the method to release it, you'll find that you could be where you are and be in perfect peace. And once you're in perfect peace where you are, you naturally graduate to the next level. What that means is that when you get into a good harmonious space and you consider where you want and what the life conditions are, where you want to live there, and you start to feel that sense of harmony, one of two things will happen. Either the place you're in will turn into that place and he will leave and be replaced by something else, or you'll just sort of wake up from a nap and find yourself just driving your car and finding this place and, oh my God, this place is perfect. They just put there for rent sign or for their for sale sign, and I can move right in, and they have people ready to go in, and the whole thing's all set up, and there's no reason not to go there. And then you'll have to look at the feelings of, oh, but I still feel attached to him, even though I thought I wanted to get away. And that's what you'll have to process to move forward at that point. So it's a little subtle to understand how hope undermines us. Because if your life is perfect right now, there's nothing to be hopeful for. It's already perfect, and it's always going to be perfect. Now, if it's not feeling perfect and you're feeling a sense of lack, your consciousness is manifesting that lack. That lack is a feeling, and it's connected with a thought, a mental story. And that's what's holding you in that state. It's not the fact that your ex-boyfriend is living there. It's not that this house didn't fall apart, that this house didn't come through. It's that where you are in your state is the problem. And as you use the method, Sophie, to get free of that unpleasant state that you're in, and you find yourself back in that blissful place of harmony, you'll find that harmony manifests conditions consistent with it. As long as you feel trapped, you're going to manifest conditions that reinforce that feeling of entrapment.
Okay.
I hope that's helpful.
Yes.
Good.
That was good.
Thank you.
you.
Bob, we have a chat from Debbie,
Okay.
and it has two parts. One of them is a good thing. She said she practiced the method one night this week, and the next day at work, she had an event that previously would have wounded her sense of self, but it didn't. It rolled right off her, and it didn't affect her as it would have in the past, and that's a big yay for her. But she has a question, too, about the passion first. And she says she has no idea what her passion is. She's a single mother of 2 young adults, both had serious, long-lasting, life-altering challenges. Her focus and her gift was getting them through it all, and that has become her identity. Now they're good. She's not sure who she is. What are her passions, and how do you figure out what your passions are if you don't know?
Okay, well, you don't figure it out intellectually. You figure it out on a feeling level. Okay, so what that means is you start small. Right? Everything is an organic process. It starts with small steps and it gradually expands to big steps. So you ask yourself right now, what do I feel like doing? It's as simple as that. What might I do right now that would help me to get into a better feeling space? Do I want to take a walk? Do I want to exercise? Do I want to meditate? Do I want to take a nap? Do I want to cook something? Do I want to go do something for a friend? Do I want to call somebody up? And you just consider your options for what you feel like doing right now. And if none of them seem to have any sort of gravitational pull towards you, then you just do whatever you do. You just choose to do it. And you notice. It's all about consciousness. You notice, how do I feel before I do it? How do I feel while I do it? How do I feel after I do it? And gradually, you'll start to discover how to love yourself, because that's what's really going on now. You're going through a phase where it's really learning about self-partnering. And you're learning how to do for yourself what you need done, because you've been focused so long on doing for others what they need done. And now it's time for you to focus on what you need done for your unfoldment, what will make you feel happy. And it even goes to the mental level. Notice your thoughts. If you're having a thought that brings you down, let go of the thought. Choose thoughts that help you to feel good. Choose feelings that help you to feel good. Choose actions that help you to feel good. Watch what you talk about. Watch how you speak. Everything you say, think, feel, and do affects how you feel, right? And so you want to be oriented now on a feeling level. You want to be guided by your feelings into activities that make you feel good, better, and best. It's a conscious process of experimentation.
So she says that sounds very mundane, and she thought that passion implied big energy.
Right. Well, you know, you've got to take baby steps. If you're completely disconnected from what brings you inspiration and ecstasy, right, you got to start with small things like a cup of tea. And, you know, my teacher used to say that wisdom is characterized by someone who can feel great when nothing particularly important is happening, right? When I'm making a cup of tea, I'm completely fulfilled. You know, if I'm washing the dishes, I'm completely fulfilled. If I'm taking the dog for a walk, I'm completely fulfilled. It's bringing joy, bringing awareness, bringing presence into the moment, making this moment count to the best of your ability. Remember, everything is an organic process, right? Everything is an organic process. What that means is that everything grows naturally or grows organically. You spend today spending a little bit more time doing what helps you to feel even just slightly better, what helps you feel slightly satisfied, slightly content. You'll find tomorrow opportunities to feel even better. And eventually some big things will open up and you'll get a taste of what your real inspiration is. And then engaging in what your true inspiration is, that's where all the power comes from.
Great. She says that makes sense. And thank you. That's giving her permission to just be. What a novel idea. And thank you.
Yes, just to be. Remember, you don't have to figure out who you are. You just have to be who you are. You just have to be who you are. And the way you know you're being who you are is you're in harmony. When you're feeling harmonious, you're being true to yourself. When you're feeling discord or inner conflict or frustration or unhappiness, that's a sign that you're swerving off the course of who you truly are. Any other questions in our last couple of minutes before we wrap it up? Okay, so I will bring it to a close now by inviting you to start for this week, okay? Your homework assignment for this week is to really live with awareness of how you feel. Think less, feel more. Notice how you're feeling. Go to your feelings for guidance in each and every moment. Try to get a feeling for what you're supposed to do in the present moment without thinking. And you'll start noticing that your feelings actually guide you. The feelings in your body actually start to provide you with guidance, and it's much more reliable than what your logical mind can tell you. So practice being aware of how you feel, following your feelings in each and every moment, right? Living each day without a negative thought. Just drop the thoughts like hot potatoes. And remember that your life is for enjoyment. You're living for the fun of it. If you're not having a great, fantastic effing time, you got to start working on making shifts so that you're having a great effing time each and every moment. Your joy lights up the world, and your joy relieves everybody else if they're suffering. So living a joyful life is one of the greatest things you can do. And don't give much thought to all this craziness going on in the world right now. You're the creator of your reality. You create by your thoughts and feelings. It's just as important to know what to take your attention off of as to know what you put your attention onto. When you take your attention off of something, you allow it to leave your life. When you hold your attention on something, you bring it into your life. And keep using the method to get free so you can know the joy and the bliss that comes from the method is, it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. It's just fantastic. So that's it for today.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for all your contribution, and I'll see you all next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.